Feels really warm. Hello, people of the world of wide web video watchers. Welcome to another video. Today, I am bringing back something that a lot of you have been asking questions about. You guys have been asking me a lot why I have not done a car review on the Ranger and where it has been. And the reason is because it's partially broken, kind of not broken. It's a problem the truck had before I even drove it back from New Hampshire. Allow me to demonstrate. Now this problem is intermittent in nature. It only occurs at random when you're driving without the air conditioning on. Now when this issue does occur, what happens is the truck just kind of surges and lacks power and gets bogged down, and then it'll just randomly clear itself up. Oh, I reset the PCM, so it's going through the learning procedure. The one constant that there is to make this problem surface is by placing a load on the engine by turning on the air conditioning, which I will now do. You can probably already hear it. What it does is it bogs the engine down and makes it run extremely rich, to the point that you can visibly see how rich it is running with little puffs of black smoke. In addition to that, the EGTs get so high that it completely just cooked the stainless steel finish on the muffler. And what's really random is sometimes you can do this test and it will run just sitting here idling for 30 minutes and have no issues. Other times you start up the truck, turn on the AC, and it will get so rich it'll just kill the truck. AC blows nice and cold though, that's a plus. Yeah. It's doing it. It almost stalled right there. It is so rich, it's burning my eyes. Now the AC is off. You can see the truck runs good. Seems like it runs like a healthy engine. As you guys saw in the video series when I restored that truck, every last component has been restored and replaced with OEM new Ford Motorcraft parts. Everything in the fuel system replaced. 2 different fuel pressure regulators were tested, make sure it didn't have a bad one, as well as verified fuel pressure with a gauge. Everything spark related has been replaced, and I actually upgraded the coil pack to an Excel one. You want to talk about difficult? Try to find a brand new NOS Ford Motorcraft throttle body and sensor. That was hard to find. As well as the OEM ignition module that's right behind the driver's side headlight. Electrically, every single last sensor has been replaced. I cannot emphasize and enunciate this enough when I say every sensor has been replaced on the entire engine. The entire engine harness has been gone through wire by wire to ensure everything was corrosion free and fully operational, and verified with the Ford EEC IV breakout box, which was a piece of dealer tech that they had at the Ford dealership to work on these trucks back in the 90s, as well as a snap-on OBD1 compatible diagnostic tool. A complete diag procedure was performed multiple times utilizing that Ford breakout box for the EEC IV system, as well as verifying with all data flow charts. On top of that, I consulted with a retired Ford technician that worked on these trucks when they were brand new to verify and bounce off all troubleshooting steps and procedures that have been performed. And according to the diagnostic procedures I performed in accordance with Ford's tech data, it points to a bad PCM. The problem with that though is I have now gone through 3 different Ford PCMs for this truck. And yes, I went above and beyond to make sure every one of those rebuilt ECUs was a matching HAG01. Not that that actually matters as far as this truck being able to run and operate. It does matter, but it doesn't. But either way, they were all Hago PCMs. Now someone's gonna say, but you can just replace the capacitors on the inside. That's the only thing that goes wrong with these. And that's not the case, because I did replace the capacitors in the original PCM for this, which actually weren't even leaking. Replaced them anyway, no change in the problem. However, the first one I purchased off of eBay from a seller that quote unquote rebuilds these PCMs, after throwing it in the truck only to find it ran even worse, tore the thing apart and found it had bad capacitors visibly leaking and burnt up capacitors on the inside. They slapped masking tape around it and sold it as a rebuild. And the second one I bought from a major auto parts retailer, and the same thing, tore it apart, bad capacitors. At that point, I was so fed up of dealing with stuff like that I found this solution, which is not sponsored. It looks like an OEM Ford PCM. However, on the inside of this case is a Megasquirt ECU, which has modern technology. It'll allow me to actually see what's going on in the PCM and monitor engine sensors in real time, as well as put my own tune on the truck. Now I can get to work. Electrical components have a shelf life. They don't last forever, especially capacitors. It's like, how many electrical gadgets do you have that still work from 1994? Probably not a lot. Medium depth socket and a stubby little ratchet. Perfect for that bottom nut. That is not what he said. There. This is the original PCM for this truck. It might look like a stock 60-pin EECIV PCM, but notice that right there? That's for a map sensor. I'm gonna have to trim a little tiny hole right here in the rubber boot. Make a little mark. Behind what I'm doing right now are 2 large cardboard boxes, and inside those 2 large cardboard boxes are parts that I ordered from Japan for the Ranger. This is intense, like the scene from Ace Ventura where he comes out the back of the rhino. There you go. Does it fit? Yeah. Now I just need to apply vacuum. Hopefully this isn't big enough to put on there. I need a bigger vacuum line. Because of the fact that the PCM sits inside an asshole of a cavity, there's no way to plug it into its original location and then hook up the little test ports without having to modify something. I got a base map and a cable and a $200 Walmart laptop. Okay, put my base map in first. Oh, this is nice. Ranger 4.0 specific details. Wonder what that is. We don't have a pinout. Oh, that's okay. I have that from All Data. Nope, was doing Microsoft things again. Before I feel comfortable going any further than this, I need to stop and read this entire user guide, which is gonna probably take me an hour or two. So, mañana. Welcome to tomorrow. Did a little bit of research last night, and the new PCM comes with these little tiny black blobs that are jumpers that go on the PCBs on the inside. The purpose of each one of those jumpers is to essentially connect neurological pathways in the brain of this PCM. It makes physical connections on the piece of hardware so that way the software can work correctly. I'm not a computer person, but I'm trying really hard to explain this in kind of sense. Where's my vacuum line? Here's my vacuum line. One of the unfortunate downsides of doing YouTube for a living is I don't have the flexibility in my schedule to spend several days educating myself on how to tune a computer myself. I would love to. I absolutely am super into the idea of being able to tune my own vehicles. Where am I gonna have the time to spend to educate myself on it? This isn't something you learn in a day. Okay, battery connected. So, step 1, new tuner studio project. Detecting. On. Searching for other controller, scanning port, found Megasquirt 3, 1.51, blah blah blah. Baud rate. I remember that from the TT, it was the same number too. So, next, detected, baud found, narrowband, sensor volts, and wideband lambda. I have narrowband. Gauges are doing self-gagey things, like a little default test. That's cute. Oh, that's neat. It looks very 90s Ford. Yeah, now I can actually see what this engine is doing instead of that primitive OBD1 nonsense. I apologize in advance for the temporary Ford dinging. I need to make my fuel pump engage. I can't hear the fuel pumps engaging because of the stupid dinging. heard it. It's quiet, but I heard it. At this point, I have to now calibrate all the sensors, and the easiest way to do this would be to have an assistant. So Charlie's gonna help me on the phone. Say hello.
Hello.
Hopefully this cable reaches. This is gonna be a balancing act. I will start cranking. 144, 143, bounced right there.
Okay, we'll go with that for now and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Edis multi-spark. This one's Edis, right?
Correct. Electronic distributorless ignition system.
Okay, then I got trigger angle offset degree. It's set at 11.
Needs to be 0.
Needs to be 0. Lacuna coil, single coil. Now, it is time to load the base tune file. Loading, would you like to send and burn configuration to controller? Yes. Power cycle required, offline, online, injector dead time.
So A in milliseconds should be 0.9.
Okay, it's on 0.7, so 0.9. Curve 1.
Yep.
E-cycle off. So trying to start this for the first time, it shouldn't run without my input on the throttle trying to feather it because the truck hasn't been tuned yet. So my AFR is hovering in the 18s.
That's because you have a narrow band O2 sensor. Don't worry about that.
So I need to key off. Yeah. I mean, I think for now that's... I mean, at least it idles so much smoother than the stock ECU already.
This whole time it's been a bad ECU, and it might not have been those capacitors. It might have been like a little EEPROM chip or some other surface mount pile of shit or a resistor that's fucking gone high because it got wet. Like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, you know what, the other thing too? It doesn't stink like fuel in here when it's idling.
Weird.
Welcome to the following day. Yesterday was a great success. Super excited that I was able to get this truck to start and idle smoother than honestly it does with the factory ECU on it. So today what I need to do is install a wideband so it can be tuned. Because I did put a cat on this thing, it's completely 100% emissions legal. I cannot use a clamp on the tailpipe for a wideband. I have to remove one of the narrow band O2s and replace it with the wideband so that way I can get an accurate reading. Hello. You have no idea how excited I am to put a modern ECU on this truck. It's literally gonna be a game changer. Sketchy lift. It's normal for stainless steel exhaust to get this coloration from heat, but you can see these cats got super toasty. Removing, and I love these ceramic coated headers. They still look super clean. Wideband O2 gauge. All right, stay. I love that the smell of the truck resonates from under it. It smells like New Hampshire. Going down. Oh, there it is. Okay. Also, FYI, just like the standalone ECU, none of this stuff is sponsored. Tuning station set up. Connect battery. So this thing isn't reading, I think it needs power, so I'm gonna add a 12-volt source. I think a reasonable first goal is to at least get this thing to idle where it should, not 2200. This guy off. Somewhere underneath there should be a little screw where I can manually adjust the idle. Clockwise is going to move the throttle body that way, so I need to go counterclockwise. All right, that's quite a bit. So let me see. Is Charlie still on the left? Yeah, he is. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to call him in a minute. So I got the mechanical idle to 1250. Oh, it's really warm. All right. I just discovered there's a deviation between the gauge and the actual tachometer in the truck. The tachometer in the truck is reading about 700 RPM at that recent idle, and this was showing about 990 to like 1050. Idle air control valve plugged in. It's idling about 1400.
Hey,
Hello.
did you shoot base timing on it yet or no?
No, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm impressed that it started then. Do you have a timing light?
I do have a timing light, yeah.
If you do all this stuff to combat it, then your base timing's off, it's going to change everything, so that's why you kind of do it first.
So massive thanks to Jimmy Oakes for taking the time out of his busy schedule to jump on the phone with me and kind of point me in the right direction of what to do to tune this truck. Also, thank you to Charlie for remoting in on TeamViewer to try to figure this out with me. He's sick right now, but he has used Megasquirt in the past. Jimmy gave me a good game plan on what I need to take care of first this truck, and then I can start focusing on other things that will actually bring the idle to where I want it. So I'm going to tackle that in the next video. I'm going to go home right now and I want to try to do as much research as I possibly can to try. I want to try to do as much of this as I can as possible. It might not be good enough as like a final tune, but get it as close as I can to a bass tune. And see you guys soon with another video. Bye.